The sky no longer held wonder. Where once silver clouds arced over crystalline towers and whispering songlines, now hung the shadows of G.U.P dropships, monolithic constructs of black alloy and grav-plated hulls descending in tight formation. Hundreds of them, each one settling onto the burned spires and fractured concourses of Virellia's subdued capital. This was Phase 4, and it was the most calculated of them all. Combat synthetics swept through what remained of the Virellian suburban arch shelters. They didn't speak, they didn't ask. They moved in squads of 5, herding families out of shelters, through collapsed corridors into the open. Civilians stood dazed, many too afraid to run. Some tried. They were stunned, restrained, and carried forward. At the center of each clearing waited a dropship. Not for war, for medicine. Each ship bore the insignia of the Galactic Union's new civil assimilation program, a spiral enclosed in a healing cross. But the medicine was a lie. Inside the vessel, the air was cold. The walls glowed with clinical light. Virellians entered through one side, escorted or dragged, and were directed into bays resembling operating suites. Human medics and synthetic assistants worked in silence. Each patient was scanned, sedated, and tagged. Then came the insertion, a neural override chip placed directly into the synaptic cluster at the base of the skull. The procedure took less than 2 minutes. A soft tone indicated success. The Virellian rose. They no longer resisted. With distant eyes, they were escorted out the other side of the vessel, where they received new identification, instructions, and behavioral alignment protocols. By the time they stepped into the light again, they no longer served Virellia. They served the G.U.P. President Connors's ship touched down at the former seat of the Virellian High Council. Her armored escort deployed first, securing the perimeter. Then the ramp extended. Connors emerged in full military attire, dark silver trimmed in black, the seal of the G.U.P. glinting from her breastplate. Beside her walked Admiral Voss and Director Yara, followed by senior command officers. All around them, the capital had fallen silent. The city still lived, but it was a city subdued. Synthetics patrolled its avenues, dropships dotted its skyline. Smoke curled in the distance from containment fires, and ahead of Connors, kneeling at the base of the council steps, were the remnants of the Virellian leadership. Oraleth among them. Connors approached without hesitation.
"You,"
she said, addressing the kneeling figure.
"warned us of the spiral, told us to restrain, to fear ourselves."
She leaned closer.
"You should have feared me."
Oraleth met her gaze, though blood streaked the side of his head.
"You mistake control for legacy. What you're building here isn't order. It's a virus. You will not outlive it."
Connors smiled coldly.
"You think history remembers those who yielded? No, it remembers those who rewrote it."
She turned to her officers.
"Transport them to the launch yard. They are to be transferred to Leuten, 726-8, within the hour. Maximum security. No privileges."
The guards moved forward. Oraleth and the other captured leaders were pulled to their feet and marched toward a waiting G.U.P. transport vessel, flanked on all sides by black armored escorts. By the third day, the assimilation process had become industrial. Entire city blocks were converted into waiting queues. Virellian citizens were funneled into medical intake pods by synthetic handlers. Screening drones flew overhead, scanning for signs of aggression or latent neural resistance. Those who resisted were stunned and marked for deeper reprogramming protocols. Some tried to hide, none succeeded. G.U.P. skycrawlers hunted the forests and rural enclaves. Gravity pulses lifted rooftops. Thermal satellites tracked every breath. The G.U.P. wanted all of them, not to kill, to claim. Director Yara stood over a series of holographic maps, each one displaying a colored overlay of progress indicators.
78% of the planetary population has been processed,
she said into the uplink.
We estimate full saturation within 48 hours.
President Connors responded from the planetary surface.
"Any anomalies?"
Small clusters of psychic instability, minor resistance from fringe populations, mostly those with exposure to vault harmonics. Nothing we can't contain.
Good. Begin pre-education overlays. I want the new citizens indoctrinated before the end of the week.
Far from the cities, hidden beneath a fractured shell of stone and light, a small cluster of unchipped Virellians gathered in silence. Among them were children, elder scientists, silent warriors. They did not speak, they listened. The spiral pulsed faintly from a shard of stone embedded in the center of the room. A child reached out to touch it, and the shard glowed. Far away in orbit, a single dormant vault activated. And beneath the ground, something ancient stirred.